Hello and welcome to my first look at the Imperial Armour Index Forces of the Astra Militarum. This book will cost you £15 like all of the other Imperial Armour indexes. One of the reasons why I got this index, or the Imperial Armour indexes, as opposed to the 40k ones, was because I knew that the 40k ones were going to have codexes out, and I much would rather have a hardback codex than just, you know, like the data sheets for the models. However, Forge World, we don't really know if there is going to be hardback editions of these, or whether all of the separate factions are going to get hardback versions themselves. Typically with Forge World and 40k rules, it's quite hit or miss, both in getting the rules right, their FAQs, and what kind of books and things are available. Horus Heresy, they're normally right on the money, but with their 40k models, or their Horus Heresy models that they put into 40k, they're usually a little bit hit or miss. So this is the Forces of the Astra Militarum. I don't have an Imperial Guard army, but I do have Imperial Knights, and I do have some super heavies, and I do have Titans, and Titans are in here too. This book is probably the thickest one out of them all. It will weigh you down at 128 pages, which is great. Again, like all the other indexes, I would much prefer hardback, just because you can keep the page open on that unit while you're using that unit or whatever. It says that you'll find over 100 data sheets in this book. So this is my first look. It differs from the review. In the review I go through all the units individually, and I talk about their rules and things. A little bit of extra information is that one of the reasons why Forge World weren't happy with their Horus Heresy rule books was because of this thing that you can see here, this line where the sort of front part of the cover, it just lifts from the page itself. That was prevalent in quite a few of the rule books, and they decided not to ship them out because of that. But obviously in this index you can see it quite clearly there. But either way, I will say that if you bought any of the very original Imperial Armour books, I've decided to go back to a few of the old Imperial Armour books, and just to show you the difference from sort of 15 years ago. If you're new to the hobby and you're, you know, 12 or 13, those kind of books are before you're even alive. So it'll be interesting to see just how far it's come from those to these. And now these aren't like the full books with the lore and the backstories and lots of great detail about the units. These are just the data sheets, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to go through those older books. So without me rambling on for too long, you've got the contents, so I'll just go through this now. So the Astra Militarum, you have everything from Armageddon pattern basilisks to Lehman Russes to Malcadors, to Macariuses, even the flyers like the Aquila lander, Vulture gunship, and even a Vendetta gunship, Deathcore of Krieg, Elysian drop troops, Renegades and Heretics, so there are actually some Renegades and stuff in here, Questor Imperialis, so they're all your knights, your knight houses, and finally your Titans. So you've got introduction and a little bit about the data sheets, and then it goes into Astra Militarum straight away. And instead of the Xenos book where it said the macro weapons, you know, near the introduction, they put it here in this Astra Militarum army list, where they talk to you about macro weapons, which basically means that unless you're firing a macro weapon from a Titan, the weapon can't fire if the model moved. And then when you're firing at a Titan or a building, then the damage done is double after you roll the d6 for whatever the damage is or whatever it does. So it starts off here with elites, so Atlas recovery tank, Salamander command vehicle, Hades breaching drill squadron, and then you've got the transports, so a Centaur light carrier, a Griffin pattern chimera, Trojan support vehicle, fast attack, you've got an Artemia pattern hellhound, a Salamander scout tank, a Tauros assault vehicle, a Tauros Venator, and then we're into heavy support, so you've got an Armageddon pattern basilisk, an Armageddon pattern Medusa, a Colossus Bombard, just sounds awesome, a Cyclops demolition vehicle, an Earthshaker battery, Earthshaker carriage battery, a Griffin mortar carrier, and a heavy mortar battery. Even more heavy support. This book is basically heavy support. A heavy quad launcher battery, a Hydra battery, which has the Hydra quad autocannons, a Lehman Russ Annihilator, which is basically Lehman Russ but with the las cannons on the turret, a Lehman Russ Conqueror, a Lehman Russ Styges or Styges Vanquisher, a Malcador Annihilator, Malcador Defender, Malcador Heavy Tank, Malcador Infernus, a Manticore Battery, a Medusa Carriage Battery, a Rapier Laser Destroyer, a Sabre Weapons Battery, Sentinel Powerlifters, Styges Destroyer Tank Hunter, Styges Thunderer Siege Tank, Tarantula Battery, and then Lord of War. So you've got an Arcurian pattern Stormblade, which has the Plasma Blast Gun, but it also has adamantium tracks, an Arcurian pattern Stormhammer, Arcurian pattern Storm Sword, and a Crassus Armoured Assault Vehicle. That can carry 35 infantry. A Dominus Armoured Siege Bombard, a Gorgon Heavy Transporter, a Macarius Heavy Tank, and a Macarius Omega, which has a Plasma Blast Gun, a Macarius Vanquisher, Macarius Vulcan, that has the Vulcan Mega Bolter. And then we're into flyers in somewhat, but they're on here as Lord of War. So you've got a Marauder Bomber, a Marauder Destroyer, and then back to artillery again, Minotaur Artillery Tank, a Praetor Armoured Assault Launcher, which has the Praetor Launcher. It's this big missile battery thing, probably one of the biggest ones that they have. It's got 20 wounds. A Valdor Tank Hunter, and then we're into flyers. So you've got an Aquila Lander, which does have a weapon. It has a heavy bolter, you can change it as well. An Arvis Lighter, an Avenger Strike Fighter with the Avenger Bolt Cannon, they look awesome. Lightning Strike Fighter, a Thunderbolt Heavy Fighter, a Vendetta Gunship, and a Vulture Gunship. I've got a Vulture Gunship. The Vendetta is the one with the 3 twin-link las cannon, and it can still transport 12 infantry. In Imperial Fortress Walls, so you're in buildings, Primaris of Redoubt, that's the one with the dual turbo laser destructor. And then we're on to Death Corps of Krieg. They recently, I think, re-released the models that they had before on Forge Wars website. So they kick it off with the HQ, Death Corps Marshal Caris Avena, and a Death Corps Marshal, Field Officer, a Death Rider Squadron Commander, and a Death Corps Death Rider Squadron Commander. Then we're on to troops. We've got a Death Corps Infantry Squad there, a Grenadier Storm Squad. We're into transports. We've got a Centaur Light Assault Carrier, a Death Corps of Krieg Storm Chimera, and then we're into elites. So we've got a Krieg Command Squad and Combat Engineer Squad, a Commissar, Quartermaster Cadre, and a Death Rider Command Squadron. We've also got a Death Rider Commissar, nothing worse than a Death Rider Commissar. Then we're into fast attack. We've only got one option, which is the Death Rider Squadron. Then heavy support, we've got a Heavy Weapon Squad, a Lehman Russ Mars Alpha Battle Tank, and that's it. Elysian Drop Troops have the HQ, so we've got a Elysian Company Commander, a Lord Commissar. Then into troops, we've got the Drop Trooper Squad. Elites, we've got a Special Weapons Squad and a Veteran Squad, and a Command Squad, Legion Drop Sentinels, a Platoon Commander, and a Sniper Squad. Heavy support, we've got a Heavy Weapons Squad, and for flyers, we've got a Valkyrie Sky Talon. Renegades and Heretics, so you've got some Heretics in here as well for Astra Militarum. You've got a Renegade Commander for HQ, a Malefic Lord, a Rogue Psyker Coven. For troops, you've got Renegade Cultists and a Militia Squad, and a Mutant Rabble. That sounds pretty cool. Fast attack, you've got a Chaos Spawn. Elites, you've got a Renegade Command Squad, a Disciple Squad, and an Enforcer. See, the one thing I don't like about these indexes, just have a brief break, is that they just miss out on so much spaces. You know, you're paying £15, which is, you know, Codexes were £15 at one point, but they could have just put a bit of artwork there instead of just a blank sheet. I mean, I know that they were pushed for time, but if you're bringing out a product, does it really take that much longer just to grab a picture and just drop it in? You know, you don't have to go away and take new photos of it, but there you go. So you've got a Disciple Squad and an Enforcer, a Marauder Squad, an Ogren Beast Handler, and Ogren Brutes. And then you've got Plague Ogrens, they sound pretty cool. and then you've just got, for heavy support, a Renegade Heavy Weapon Squad. Knights, Questor Imperialis. So straight away it kicks off with a Lord of War, a power level of 40, the Acastus Knight Porphyrion. I think that's had a bit of a nerf with the missile pod. I don't know whether the missile pod was better. I think it maybe was 3 shots for the Helios defense missiles. You can still fire it at tanks and things, but the Ironstorm missile pod just sounds like the one that you get on the normal Knights. But there you go, 30 wounds for that one. Lovely model though. You've got an Cerastus Knight Acheron, which is the one with the flame cannon, the Atrapos, which is the one with the las cutter and the graviton singularity cannon, so you can use these in your 40k, which is amazing. Which I don't know whether you could use the Acastus Knight in the 40k. I thought that you could only use it in Horus Heresy, so maybe that's a new thing. That's pretty awesome then. Cerastus Knight Castigator, a Cerastus Knight Lancer, Magira and Asterix. They're all lovely, lovely models, really nice. Then we're on to Titan Legions. So again, it just reiterates macro weapons. A Warhound Scout Titan is 75 power points, and it's got 35 wounds, and it can move 24 inches. That's only 6 inches less than a Hive Crone, which is a flyer. A Reaver Battle Titan, that can move 20 inches too. That's not a slow thing either. That's a power level of 120, and that has 60 wounds. And then finally, you have a Warlord Battle Titan, which is a power level of 200. It has 70 wounds. And just to reiterate, it has a Bellicosa Volcano Cannon, which is 180-inch range, strength 30. Yep, you're not reading it wrong, strength 30. So that is all the Titan Legions and stuff, and the Knights, and the rest of the Astra Militarum. And then we're on to the Appendices, which just explain all of the 40k match play points costs. So you've got everything from the normal Astra Militarum and the range weapons, so it's got the weapon profiles, as well as the points, the Death Corps of Krieg, the Elysian Drop Troops, the Renegades and Heretics, the Questor Imperialis, so the Knights, and then the Titan Legions and their war gear too. So a nice handy little, you know, instead of going to the models themselves and having to look at the weapons, you can just go to the back and go, okay, well, that's a, you know, incinerator missile bank or whatever. You know, you can just go to the back and have a look at the war gear. In my opinion, I'd have all the war gear separate. I know that's a bit nitpicking, but, you know, I just have all the war gear in one section and all the points in another section. I wouldn't have the war gear in with the points values, but that's just me. Secondly, yeah, of course, I mentioned I'd rather have it in hardback. Even if it was £5 more, I'd rather have it in hardback. And thirdly, I really do hope that Forge World bring out faction-specific versions of these books. So you have Astra Militarum, and it just has you know, Imperial Guard in there. Hardback book, a lot of information about all the units, pictures, everything. And I hope that Forge World bring out their own Knight book, Knight and Titan book. I mean, of course, to have a Titan book, it'd probably be quite small. Maybe 50 pages or so, but if you could bump it up to 100 and include all those Knights in there as well, and just have a Knight and Titan book, hardback with all the lore and all the rest of it, and that's what I'd really like to see at some point. But anyway, that is my first look at the index forces of the Astra Militarum. What do you guys think of the rules in here? Please do put it in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.